Hello everybody, I'm Ruby Juice, and today I'm going to explain all the different gameplay settings in Farming Simulator 19. The game can be a little bit daunting if you're just starting out or if you're not totally familiar with all the different settings, so hopefully this will help you figure out how exactly you want to play and the different ways that you can have the game help you or make it more realistic. So in the game settings, first off you have your game save name, call it whatever you'd like. Then you have your time scale. So you can change this anywhere between real time, 1 minute is 1 minute in the game, to 120 times, where time moves very quickly. I like to play personally on about 5 times and keep it there. That way I find crops have a decent amount of time to grow. It gives me a little bit of time between dealing with crop things to do some other activities, but also kind of keeps it fairly realistic. But you can keep it on real time and then just speed up time if you want your crops to grow or anything in between. So that's how you change that. And the traffic setting, pretty self-explanatory, either on or off. The dirt you can have as normal as the default, but you can also put it on fast, off, or slow, depending how fast you want your machines to get dirty. The automatic engine start, the default setting is that your tractors, whenever you get in one, it'll just start up automatically, and whenever you get out, it will shut off. Pretty good for beginners, but I find that keeping it off and making you start and stop your vehicles by yourself actually gives you more options when you're playing. Say you have your tractor running and you want to switch to something else quickly and deal with maybe a helper got stuck or your combine's full or something like that, but you're filling up your seeder somewhere. So by actually keeping that tractor running, it will keep filling with seed and you won't lose time. Whereas if you switch away from it, it'll shut off and it won't keep filling with seed. So that's one example. But overall, I find it takes less time. If you're just switching quickly between two tractors that are close to each other, if you can keep them running and they don't automatically shut off, then you can get going more quickly again. And you also have to remember to shut them off or else you run out of gas. Stop and go braking, if you just hold down the brake button, then you'll stop and then reverse. If you turn that off, then you'll come to a stop when you hold the brake and then you have to release it and then push it again to go backwards. The fuel usage, just how quickly your machinery uses fuel, default or low, depending on what you'd like. Fuel does get used up more quickly in Farm Sim 19 than it did in 17. However, I think the default is still okay. You'll also want to make sure that you keep an eye on the maintenance level of your vehicles, because if they require maintenance, then they'll actually start using fuel even more quickly. So just make sure you keep an eye on that. The helper refill, all of these different options pertain to if you have a hired worker, will they do anything on their own? Will they purchase seed, fertilizer, slurry, or manure, or fuel? Or will they wait for you to come and take control? So say I have a hired helper who's fertilizing a field of mine, and I have this off. If the fertilizer spreader runs out of fertilizer, that helper will stop. It'll say helper's empty, and you'll have to go take control, fill it up, and bring it back and hire the worker again. Whereas if you switch it to buy, then the helper will automatically buy fertilizer as they're fertilizing. It does cost you more money, so I wouldn't recommend it if you're looking to, save your money as much as you can, but it does make life a little bit easier. So whatever you want to do, and that goes for all of these different things. If a helper is running out of something, you can change it to buy so that they just keep on going and they don't have to stop. The plant growth, pretty self-explanatory as well. Off, slow, normal, or fast, depending on how exactly you'd like to play. So if you play on fast plant growth, maybe you keep the time scale lower. If you play on slow plant growth, maybe you speed up the time a little bit, or maybe you just want things to grow fast, 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 and just keep on making money as quickly as you can. So then, you have that option. Plant withering, there are 3 stages of harvestable crop. If they get to the third stage and you let them sit for even longer, then they'll die. But you can turn that off. Crop destruction, that is when you're driving through your crops, whether or not your tractor will leave tire tracks behind, destroys some of the crops, and therefore you lose some yield. If you turn that off, obviously you're not going to lose any crop when you drive through it. You can also avoid crop destruction by putting narrow tires on your tractors. And so if you want to play fairly realistically, then keep crop destruction on, but make sure you've got narrow tires on if you're doing any work in the field when you've got crops growing, such as fertilizing or spraying. Periodic plowing. This is the requirement to plow your fields every 3 harvests. If you don't, then you lose a little bit of yield. You can see whether or not your fields need plowing in the map. It will show red if it does need plowing. So you can turn that on or off. The same goes for lime, whether or not you need to spread lime on your fields. I believe that's every 3 harvests as well. And it will show as a green color on your map if you need lime. And weeds, you can also turn on or off whether or not you want weeds. So these 4 settings really, they really affect the gameplay the most, I think, because they actually dictate what you do. So if you have them all turned off, then you're not going to have to do a whole lot to your fields. You'll just have to fertilize them and you'll get the maximum yield. If you have all of these turned on, then you have to do all of these extra steps in order to get the maximum yield. And then finally, you've got your autosave interval, which you can change anywhere between off all the way up to 15 minutes. And that will just save your game automatically, obviously, so that you don't have to worry about losing progress if you have to quit suddenly or if something drastic happens. So make sure that you do keep that turned on if you don't want to lose any progress. And that is it for my video today. Hopefully you found that helpful. For more tutorials and explanations of different things with Farming Simulator 19, I'll see you next time.